Dr. Mwaura, you sat on both sides, civil society space, governance, that is, and even in government. Where is the civil society today? You've rated the government, so rate the civil society, and also the opposition.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I think, Mark, thank you for saying it. I've actually been in civil society. That is where I started out. And you can say civil society from the time we were student leaders at the university to, you know, civil society space in terms of NGOs and just youth activism. And then now being in government as a director of a parastatal, and then later on, you know, being an employee of government proper, having worked in international NGOs as far way back in Papua New Guinea, African level. So I've had a very great experience, really. And then, of course, being in a saga, mainstream ministry, being an advisor to Raila Odinga at one point, being in the National Assembly and Senate, and now. Let me say that personally, civil society is a very good training ground. And in the 11th Parliament, something that maybe will shock my brother, out of 349 members of Parliament, 105 had a civil society background. So that tells you it's a very good training ground, space for future would-be parliamentarians. To the point that even the current Chief Justice is really a former member of the civil society, and you can go on and on and on. So it plays a very critical role as an incubator to future leadership in many spaces. Okay. And it's a hallowed space, I think.
So you were not bought out or betray the civil space to get into politics, to respond to what you said?
Not quite. I think it's a transition.
All right.
In fact, I saw Maurice Odhiambo writing something very bad about me. I was shocked because we were with him in civil society, and I was not amused by what he said. Maurice, you can respond, but I was surprised, my friend. Yeah. People grow, just like the way you were in primary school to high school to university. Yeah. The other day, I got an opportunity to be invited to go and listen to civil society and what they are clamoring for. The new civil society, my friend like Nerima Wako and Mark Anthony Agenga, the ones that are now in those former, or rather, the CRECO group of civil society that really championed the new constitution. I think to a certain extent, the civil society does not get the full picture. So when I listen to them now, as a son coming back home kind of a thing, I could see they really don't have the full picture. The society has moved on. The issues that were being canvassed in 2003 really are not the same that are now. And maybe I got my first government appointment as a director of a state corporation, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, in 2004. I was still a university student, 22 years. So yes, I kind of benefited at that point. But then, I mean, I've joined government proper maybe around 2009, you know. So it's a training ground. Yeah. And the other day I was with the Gezorai Social Justice Center. Beautiful, beautiful young people. I like their gusto. They kind of rekindle the spirit. And I think that is where really, as you are saying, I actually agree with you, that is where the momentum is. It's not in the big ones. I think these ones, over-dependence on donor funding, also makes them to be captured to the donor issues. Right. But the real issues are in the grassroots. In fact, even for an economy, before the economists tell you it's going bad, ask them Mama Mboga, they'll tell you. Okay. So I think civil society has now moved away from the streets to litigation. I think the new area of contestation is litigation. For a long time it was Parliament. And Parliament is extremely powerful in this constitution. It's the most powerful entity, in my humble submission. So they are moved to litigation. Let's see how that pans out. The so-called government NGOs, the constitutional offices, and independent bodies, you know, those are basically government NGOs. Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, CAJ. They don't have the otherness that they used to have before. So I think the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. They will continue to do so. Even for those of us who are reformers from within, we want the backup from the other side. But not just for the sake of it. Don't just oppose a government just because you don't agree with it. I know it's difficult, easier said than done, but we still work with organizations like TI. I have just stepped down as a secretary of the African Parliamentarians Network Against Corruption, APNAC. And then we also have caucuses in Parliament, for example, I can speak more robustly about Parliament because I was there for almost 10 years, that are basically like quasi-NGOs within Parliament. So I started the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association, working with the youth sector, the Kenya Disability Parliamentary Association, again, which is my brainchild for the disability sector, APNAC, as I've mentioned, and others that we were able, and the Human Rights Caucus.
Yes.
Because you see that we wanted to activate and to have people from all parties who can rally on our agenda. But I strongly think, Mark Masai, without losing the trail of thoughts, civil society has gone down. It's not the credible voice that it used to be. Some people there have been doing it for far too long. Sometimes we need to transition. Okay. You know, I don't want to mention names, but I don't think that robustness is there. And also in terms of issues. I mean, issues. Now you don't need to call people to the streets. I think social media is more activist-led than just maandamano.
Yes.
If something trends on Twitter, now called X, or on whatever, it's likely to get attention of the power wielders.
Yes.
That's why today we are discussing the tweets of David Day. It's not because he spoke anywhere. David Day was just tweeting, or Moses Kuri. It's just a tweet. But before it would have been, you call a press conference, you have 10 or 15 radio stations and TVs, and you speak to the mic. So things have changed, and I think civil society has not transitioned into that. I think we are using the old template. It's like trying to navigate Mombasa with the map of Nairobi.
What of the opposition? Do we have an opposition?
The opposition has lost its legitimacy. Sorry to say. I think because of the overstaying of Raila Odinga, and I'm sorry that we have to mention him.
A man you've advised before.
Yeah, because his best bet was in 2007. That was vintage Raila. That was vantage Raila. He really could have gotten it right that time. But now